All right. Well, on behalf of the Volusia County Council, I'd like to welcome the members of the 2025-26 Charter Review Commission to this organizational meeting. Most people know me, but I am George Recknwall, the county manager. And I'd like to introduce Mike Dyer, who's here from the county attorney's office. You're going to be hearing from Mike and his staff shortly for remarks on the Florida Sunshine Law and Home Rule. As many of you know, the county charter requires the council to appoint a charter review commission, which it has done every 10 years since its original adoption in 1971. The process has been driven by local residents like yourselves who have a vested community interest in Volusia County, and your intentions and are well known. Over the next few months, we'll be discussing matters pertaining to the charter and decide what may be presented to the voters of Volusia County at the November 2026 general election. It's important to note the recommendation of the Charter Review Commission goes directly to the voters. It's our staff's job here to ensure you have the tools available to make good informed decisions. What I'd like to do now is introduce the staff here from the county that will be here to help you with that. I'm going to kick it off first with my deputy, Suzanne Conchin. Next to her is our newest member, actually, of staff, Assistant County Manager Gus Sombrano, who we're going to baptize him with fire here. John Booker, Government Affairs. And Michael Ryan, who does our public information in the back. He's been very instrumental in this, and his team back there that makes sure that these are recorded and videoed. And then we have Miriam Richardson, who probably will be doing the lion's share of the work. It's usually what happens, right? Where's Miriam? She's out working, so we'll get her back here, but she puts together a lot of the administrative work. So what I'd like to do to start things off before we get into the nitty gritty is have each of the commissioners maybe make a short introduction and opening remark so we can kind of get to know each other. I know many of you do, but we do have people who are new. So let's start that off, and we'll just start right down here at the end.
Hello, everyone. I'm Suzanne Scheiber, and my organization is Dream Green Volusia. I'm pleased to be serving on the commission. A lot of my experiences in Volusia County have to do with attending city meetings and county council meetings and government meetings in general, including the flood meeting, which someone pointed out to me earlier. They saw me there recently. It's a pleasure to be serving with all of you, and I'm looking forward to this experience. Thank you.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention, anyone who's not been up here before, you got to push the little button there to speak into the mic. And then when it's, you might want to take it off though when you're not speaking.
Here.
All right, everything is recorded. Thanks.
I'm Kelly Parsons Quietek. I am the Chief Legal Officer at Halifax Health. So I'm real excited to work on this project and work with all of you, and thanks for having me.
Chris Tolland, Foundation Risk Partners. I'm on our executive leadership team. I lead our Midwest as well as a large part of our Florida operations. Very pleased to be here as well, and nice to meet some new faces in the room tonight. Thank you.
Pat Northey, aka Grumpy Old Woman. I did 20 years on county council, with most of them with George, and I currently serve on the ECHO committee. And pleased to be here and to get to meet some new people and see some old friends that we kind of grew up together on the county council. So it's good to be here.
Jim Clayton, lifelong resident of DeLand. I want to thank Mr. Burker for the biography putting in here. I didn't write that. That's really good. I'm going to show it to my wife when I get home. I appreciate being here. I know a lot of you by face and name. I look forward to meeting those of you I don't, and I'm glad to be here.
Hi, I'm Billy Wheeler, and my husband and I owned a financial services practice for about 35 years. And then I was city commissioner in Daytona Beach Shores, and then graduated up to Volusia County Commissioner, which I have retired from. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Nick Saknowski. It doesn't sound as bad as it looks in writing,
Yes,
but now H is silent, so that's the easiest way to remember it. I'm born and raised in Miami, and did most of my career in Broward County in library services and public works. And I also was an education director at a maximum security state prison, South Bay Correctional Facility, which was a privatized, at the time, Wackenhut. It's now called GEO, and it's still going strong. My wife and I decided to retire up here to Volusia County 6 years ago, and just before COVID. So we survived COVID up here and got more involved in public activities, learning about all the new residents, none of whom were from here really. Wasn't really familiar with Florida, let alone Volusia County. And I've been a taxpayer though for 30 years because I've had a timeshare in New Smyrna Beach since the mid-90s. So I've been learning more and more along the way. And 2 years ago, I had the pleasure of being appointed to the Housing Finance Authority for Volusia County. And that has led to, in part to this. So nice to meet everybody. Thank you.
Ben Johnson, lifelong resident of DeLand. 43 years with the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, including 16 as sheriff. 4 years sentenced to the Volusia County Council as at large, and I guess bored. And here I am, wanting to stay in some kind of touch with what's the future of our county. And thank you for letting me be here.
I'm Dwight Lewis, and I've lived in Volusia County for 82 years. It's a lovely county. I love Volusia County. I've served on the county council for 8 years. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. And I think one of the good things we need to do is listen to the public in the listening sessions. So I like that. Sure.
I'm Amy Munizzi, president of the DeLeon Springs Community Association. We're a nonprofit organization that's been working for about 15 years to advocate for our unincorporated community. And it's a pleasure to serve with all of you. I look forward to being on this commission with you.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Wolford. I'm Director of Government Affairs at Halifax Health. Prior to that, I had a stint in state government, so I'm very excited to dip my toes into the county and learn from all of you and work with all of you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Nate Ingram. I'm a real estate broker, which I guess is kind of a dirty word in Volusia County right now, but also in a mental health group practice in Port Orange. And we provide services to our communities at a reduced rate or for free because we want to make sure that everybody has access to quality mental health care. It's truly an honor to serve on this committee. I see a lot of faces here I know, and a lot of talent and experience that have served Volusia County for many, many years. So to be here for my first time to sit with some of you is truly an honor. To sit with the rest of you, it absolutely is an honor. So thank you guys. I look forward to working with you. And that's about it. And I guess I'm last. I'm Mark Watts. I'm an attorney with Cobb Cole. I am also a lifelong resident of DeLand, just a little bit shorter tenure than Jim and Ben and Dwight. But I came back here about 27 years ago after going away to school and working for a brief stint in county government in Pinellas County, and was on the 2016 Charter Review Commission. It was an interesting experience, and grateful to be back here working with all of you for this year's go around. So.
All right, thank you. And there are two other members absent, Jennifer Bright and Mr. Ken Parker. They'll be at the next meeting, so appreciate that. All right, now my favorite part, we get to elect a chair and vice chair, so I can step aside. And so what I'd like to do is just open it up now for nominations for the chair.
I would like to nominate Mark Watts as chair.
Second that motion, if we need a second.
I need to put that in a motion form.
Right.
I move that we elect Mark Watts as chairman of the commission.
I'd second that motion.
Now, do you want to have some discussion about that or discussion about any other nominees? Because there's some other people.
All we're hearing you say I want to do
I will do it if the commission so chooses. I will express my only reservation that I do represent development interests, and I don't want what comes out of this commission to in any way be tainted by any kind of those of you who know me know that I am a fair and balanced person, and look at the community's good, with everything that I do. But I don't want what I do for a living to in any way taint what this commission does. So,
I think whoever gets nominated, somebody that's happened.
absolutely.
I know you before you were a lawyer. I know your dad. I know your mom. His integrity doesn't impeach him. Without a doubt. He's got a great work ethic. He's incredibly smart. He has institutional knowledge of the county. I can't think of a better person to lead us than Mark Watts.
I would agree. And that's why I seconded that motion. I've known Mark for quite a bit of time. I was going to nominate you. Yeah.
And that's why I made that nomination, because your reputation for integrity and honesty is unparalleled. And the fact that you served on this commission in the past, I feel like that contributes quite a lot.
Okay.
Thank you. 15 of us, right?
That's correct.
He's only one vote.
That's right.
I've known Mark for many years and knew his daddy, a very honorable family. He came in front of us many times when I was on the council, and he always served with honor when he came to us, both his clients and how he treated the county. I'm fully supportive of him being our chair.
I practiced with Mark for almost 15 years at Cobb Cole, and I want to echo everybody's sentiments. The highest integrity all the time.
Okay, I just want to say, I remember Mark when he was about 16 years old. We were sitting there, I think it was 93, 94, at Chambers with your dad, and you both said the same way. Not that that means anything, except that you've been a part of this community for a long time.
Yeah, I'd like to also say, Mark, you've been in front of council when I was on there so many times, and you always were honest at the table. Everything I heard from you, I researched, and there was nothing there, other baggage on the outside that you were hanging on to. I just respect him totally, and throughout the council times that I was there, he was always upstanding and truthful, in my opinion. I would support you totally.
Mr. Reckenwald, let's call the vote.
Okay.
Speak.
You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. All those in favor of Mark Watts for chair?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Carries unanimous.
Well, thank you all. That means a lot. I wanted to express my only concerns about that, but I hope to do you all justice, do the community justice. So.
And I think that proves your integrity, that you bring that to the table right up front.
Well, now I have the
You want me to
pleasure
sit
of
next
turning
to you
it.
now?
Yeah, now I have the
Can I sit
pleasure of
here?
turning it over to you. You can come on up.
Yeah.
That way you got the hammer now.
Okay, so I guess the next thing we need to do is select a vice chair. So let's open up the floor for nominations.
I'd like to nominate Pat Northey. She was the other one that served on the previous commission. And I've worked with her a number of years, and I don't think you can find any better than her either.
No, it's just you can pass your name later along.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was going to try to get John's tips.
All right. So we've got a nomination. Is there a second on the nomination? Got a nomination and a second for Miss Northey. Miss Northey, would you like to say anything with regard to your willingness to serve in that capacity?
I'm looking around, I'm one of the old here, except for Dwight.
Nobody.
I know that Ben is younger than Dwight, I think.
Yeah.
I think everybody's younger than Dwight.
They are.
So anyway, yes, if there's another name, that's fine. I won't have my feelings hurt, but I'm okay.
Okay. So we have a nomination for Pat Northey for vice chair. Are there any other nominations before we go to voting? Hearing none, all in favor of Pat Northey as vice chair? Any opposed? All right. Pat, you want to come sit up here on this end too? Or you get to sit there? Okay. All right. I think next we've got Mike Dyer. You're going to give us a presentation on the home rule in Volusia County.
Just have a brief 85 slide presentation. I like to go over it. Good evening. Thank you all for volunteering your time. When I first started with the county, it was during the charter review in 05-06, and have worked with a great number, just great people along the way. Some that aren't with us anymore. They're on the original, on that charter review. But your role here is very important, and thank you. So just wanted to talk a little bit about home rule and why we're here. About 3/4 of the population of Florida lives in a charter county. So many of your large, medium-sized counties are charter counties. We were the third charter county in the state. The first that was adopted after the 1968 amendment to the Florida Constitution, following Duval and now Miami-Dade County. Let's see. So what are the differences between a charter and non-charter county? Charter county does emphasize more local self-government. That was the intention when they adopted the amendment. Basically, you have all authority as a charter county unless the legislature says you do not have that authority. Whereas a non-charter county, anytime they adopt an ordinance or pursue some governmental power, they have to find that authority in the statute in order to do it. So it does allow for more flexibility unless the legislature preempts us on that subject, which they certainly have on a number of subjects. The other big difference is the option for county-wide ordinances in a charter county. A charter may authorize a county to adopt ordinance on the subject with county-wide effect that would apply also in the cities. An example of that is your environmental minimum standards in your charter allows the council to adopt minimum standards as to the environment that would apply also within the cities. That is not the case with a non-charter county. Non-charter county, they can pass an ordinance that would apply in the city unless the city adopts something to the contrary. Some examples of, sorry, I'll get used to this, of local control that exists because of our current charter. The Growth Management Commission is empowered to determine consistency between comprehensive land use plans of cities and the county. That's an example of something that exists because of our charter. I spoke briefly about environmental protection. The council is authorized by charter to adopt countywide ordinances on the environment, and it gives examples of things that can be enacted, which have been enacted. Tree protection, aquifer protection, stormwater management, wastewater management, river and waterway protection, hazardous waste disposal, wetlands protection, beach and dune protection, and air pollution protection. Now, I say that there are a number of subjects as to the environment and land use that have been regulated by the legislature and were preempted. Preempted, just a fancy way of saying the legislature is addressing that subject, and we do not address it. Public beach access is a very big one in the charter. We have beach driving in Volusia County because our charter allows for beach driving. The legislature has prohibited beach driving around the state and grandfathered in those jurisdictions that allowed it in their charter, Volusia County being, I would say, the largest example of that. It also authorizes the county council to adopt a unified beach code to address pedestrian safety, vehicle access and fees, operation of vehicles, commercial use of the beach, and individual conduct. What it doesn't do is it has not transferred the services that are offered by cities when a beach is within a city, because that's a transfer of service. So for example, law enforcement. City law enforcement can still go on the beach, issue tickets for violations. If it were a transfer of service, if that law enforcement authority were taken away, it would require a dual referenda of both the residents of that city and Volusia County residents. So the simplest way is the council has regulatory authority over the beach, and the city still have the authority to provide services. School planning. In 2006, Volusia voters approved a school planning amendment to the charter. That exists because of our charter. Term limits. It's been a popular subject that's been addressed by the legislature and has failed, but your charter provides term limits of 8 consecutive years. It also provides a salary cap on your county council members. And I failed to update this slide. I apologize. I had the 18-19 figures, but your county chair is capped at 60% of the salary that the state provides, and your council members are capped at 50% of that salary. Every year, the state issues a handbook that provides what the salaries are based on population for your constitutional officers, including council members, tax collectors, and so on. Currently, the chair salary applying the 60% cap is $67,394, and the council members are at $56,162. So the council members, for example, if that were not in a charter, would have double of the pay of that amount. The existence of a county chair, that is also a creature of your charter. In the absence of that, it would be someone who's elected or appointed by the fellow council members. And lastly, nonpartisan elections. Members of the county council do not run as a Republican or Democrat. They run on a nonpartisan basis because of the charter. Some history of our charter. It was approved by countywide referendum in 1970. The charter government that exists today began January 1st of 1971. And it started with a 21-member citizens committee to study a recommended charter over a 9-month period. And your charter review, you as a commission are appointed by the council every 10 years, which has occurred since 1975 and every 10 years after that. In looking at some of the history of why our charter was recommended from the study commission, there was a report. They identified some issues they were trying to tackle and recommended to the voters for a charter. We used to have in county government 5 separate road departments, 17 independent taxing authorities operating independently of county government. We had a lack of unified financial and budgeting procedures, a lack of a single administrative head for county government, being the county manager. We had numerous independent operations supported from fees, such as zoning and building operations. There was a concern that there was a lack of professionally trained personnel in county government, a lack of a centralized purchasing system, and there was a lack of a personnel system. All those have been addressed by creation of your charter. Prior to 1970, the structure of Volusia County government had been based upon the default structure in the state constitution. In 1885, our population at the time was about 6,900 people, so very different. Prior to 1970, the report indicated that we relied on expediency and ingenuity to resolve issues due to a lack of organization. And by 1970, the legislature had enacted over 600 special laws for Volusia County to address different issues that would arise, because the county government did not have the authority to address those issues without the authority from the legislature. And state statute books were not as lengthy as they are today, and it didn't address as many subjects. So sometimes you had to go to the legislature to address something specific. I won't read this whole finding, but I thought the quote was interesting from the 1970 report from the Study Commission. It indicated that a number of cities that existed at the time had a council manager form of government, and their goal was to separate the legislative and administrative functions. So the council established policy, and you had a manager to implement that policy. One of the chief aims of the study commission was to achieve having a single full-time executive to coordinate all the activities of county government, to separate the legislative and administrative roles of county government, and also to change the name of the default name for a county governing body is a county commission. And they wanted to go, they named it county council, and they explained in the report at the time they thought that established that council was going to emphasize policy, and it was something different than what they had had in the past. I would say that a number of every other charter county I'm aware of still operates under the name county commission, but I do think it was a reflection of what they were trying to achieve at the time. All right. The Charter Study Commission favored an appointed county manager over a politically elected independent administrative officer. You can read the report at the time. There was a lot of emphasis on that, a lot of discussion, because that was, I would say, probably the biggest change that came from the charter. The commission reasoned that a professional manager could be selected by the council on the basis of qualifications, noting that an election is no guarantee of skilled administration if your county manager was not appointed by the commission. Also, I would say you could say this about my position, your county manager, county attorney. If the council is not satisfied with the services being provided, they can remove that person. So I know county manager and county attorney, we report to the will of the council, which is generally expressed as a majority, unless there's a higher vote requirement on a particular issue. So that is just an overview. I gotta put my fancy graphic up here. Does anybody have any questions on that history? We're technically third, but we were the first adopted after the 1968 amendment to the Constitution. Duval and Miami-Dade technically existed prior to us, yeah. So I think both are true. We were the first under the new Constitution.
Any other
difficult
questions for Mr. Dyer?
All right.
Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just had one question.
One question.
You know, on your slide 15, I believe it was, it mentioned the use of the term council.
Yes.
And it says larger and more representative. Was it in fact larger though than what preceded it?
Prior to the charter county?
Yeah, I'm just saying, why did they use the term larger? Because I thought it was basically the same.
Default size of a county commission, and I should have addressed that's 5. And so it has been expanded to 7. I think that's what they're referring to.
And at that time, the population was significantly larger than when it had been 5, but now, of course, it's even more significantly larger. Thanks.
Yes, sir. All right.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Dyer?
Mr. Moss, I think, was going to talk about Sunshine Law next.
Okay. Very good. I think that moves us into item 5D, overview of the Sunshine Law. Mr. Brown.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice, honorable members of the committee. I'm Russ Brown. I'm with the County Attorney's Office. I work for Mr. Dyer. It's a pleasure to have you all tonight. Fortunately, I think I'm the only one that has something bad to say about Mr. Watts, because I just learned, if it's true, you're an Ohio State Buckeyes fan. Is that true?
Absolutely not.
Okay. As long as that's not true, we're still friends.
Yeah.
All right.
State.
All right. Somebody gave me a bad gouge back there. All right. That's great. With that, I'll go into sunshine since that's in the sunshine anyway. Is it up? There we go. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about the colorful topic tonight of 3 kind of highlights: sunshine, public records, and ethics. I talk fast. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. I'll also ask questions, give you an opportunity to talk at the end if you have any questions. But most of you have this, have experienced this throughout your careers in your public service, advisory board, elected official, whatever the capacity may be. So I'm sure you all are aware of it. So to start off, Florida's government is sunshine, public records. For the sunshine, it requires basically transparency of government for your state, right? Everything for local government and your advisory committees has to be in the sunshine, where 2 or more members are gathered. It's supposed to be a notice meeting open to the public so they can come in and make comments before you make any decisions. There are 3 basic requirements. You have meetings of the public boards or commissions must be open to the public. They must give reasonable notice, and you must take reasonable minutes, some type of minutes, right? So those are pretty self-explanatory. I think when you walked in here, you probably saw a bulletin, a notice on the door. We put out press releases. Mr. Ryan Shop did a really good job with that and advertising and making sure the public is aware of the meeting. Additional considerations, meetings of staff and between staff. If you've been on an elected body or an advisory body and you get ready for an agenda or a meeting, staff traditionally meets one-on-one with an elected official or at times an advisory committee member, tells you about the meeting agenda that's coming up, gives you an opportunity to talk. That's not a violation of sunshine because it's just you and staff and not another elected official on the same board there. You're not prohibited from discussing, like as a member of this committee, if you wanted to talk to a council member, county council member about a topic, there's nothing that's not a violation of sunshine because you're not a member of the same board. We're not allowed, let's say, or you're not allowed either, to have somebody act as an intermediary to go between you and another committee member to say, I'm going to do this, you do that, act as basically an intermediary or somebody to poll you on how you're going to vote. And advisory committees are created pursuant to an ordinance or other law that is always subject to sunshine, even if the decisions are not binding. So that's interesting. Communications. So communication about official business between board members that can violate sunshine law. So it's not just you having a physical meeting in the corner at a coffee shop or whatever with another committee member. There are other ways to violate sunshine: email, text messages, social media, direct messaging, Snapchat, Twitter. The only thing I'm on is LinkedIn. I'm still old school. I don't like social media. But just remember that if you engage in that type of conversation where a matter by which you're going to make a decision is likely to come before your committee, that could be a violation, right? Social media concerns, I just kind of talked about a little bit. All social media accounts, just be careful of that. They're open to public record as well as sunshine law. Even if you do something in your private account that you think something is private, so we're not going to give you in this capacity a government computer or a cell phone, but that doesn't mean that the document or the text message, whatever you're creating, is not subject to, I'm kind of skipping ahead, public records, but is not subject to a sunshine violation if you're having that conversation, that text message with another committee member. So just remember that. And those things, which I'll talk about a little bit of public records, can be subject to a subpoena that somebody could move to try and get you to really, show your personal phone if you say you don't have anything and they have some evidence that you do. So just be aware of that when you create records. Let's see, meeting subject to sunshine, we kind of talked about this. There's no quorum requirement for the law to be applied. So, again, it can just be 2 or more members in the same committee. You can have a violation if you're talking about a topic that's likely to come before you for a meeting. For a decision. We talked about that. And it says the law is construed to frustrate all evasive devices. That just means the law is construed to make everything as transparent as possible so that you can't evade trying to make a decision behind the scenes that otherwise members of the public should be able to come and petition their government to hear them out before they make a decision. No prohibition under sunshine law, board members gathering together socially, talk about football, basket weaving, you hate the Buckeyes, whatever the case may be, just stay away from business that can come before the committee. Talked about reasonable notice a little bit. We take care of that. We'll tell you when the meetings are going to be, which is, I think, 2 topics down. You'll decide what meeting schedule you're going to have, those types of things. But Mr. Ryan and his staff and Georgia's staff will take care of noticing those. We'll send emails out. We'll let you all know what's going on to make sure that there's send community information notices out, make sure there's all kinds of notice in the public that they know what's going on. This is a meeting. Okay, public records. All right, public records. I talked about all those kind of things that can create a public record. Text message, social media, direct messaging, all those things can create a public record. Just because it's on your private device doesn't mean it's not a public record if you're doing it to further the business by which you're on the committee. So just remember that. Somebody asks you or puts in for a public record request. They may say, hey, in personal, we've had it happen before, personal devices. We'll ask a member, do you have something on your personal device? They say no, okay. Usually it ends there. It could go further. If somebody wanted to seek a subpoena to compel you to produce that if they thought you had something. Or sometimes, like life happens. You want to respond to somebody and you've done it on a personal device. Nothing wrong with that. Just make sure you provide that if it's in a public records request, or that good rule of thumb, and we'll provide you, I believe, with an email. We're going to provide an email. I think it's in your packet anyway, that, again, we're not giving you an email, a .org email for Volusia, or a cell phone, or a text message. You want to say something, John?
I was just going to say that the email address that we set up is vccharterreview@volusia.org. It should be in some of your materials as well, but V as in Volusia, C County Charter Review @volusia.org.
So we've created an email house that if you use that for, if somebody writes into you, a member of the public or whatever the case may be about a topic they want you to broach in the committee, or they send you a text message, if you copy that text message after you get done, take a picture, you can send that email. If you're corresponding with somebody about something the committee could take up and it's a subject of a public records request, you can put that on the CC line so it automatically gets historically captured. And we've got that. We take it out from you having to worry about going back through your records. It's a second. So, did you want to say something?
Yeah, we'll make sure that email address is emailed to you again at the end of this meeting, so you have it. That's just a resource for you. I think what I have found helpful is, if you come across something that, say somebody sends you a text message and says, Jim, I can't believe Mark Watts got elected as chair. Charter. That you would, what I'd recommend, just take a screenshot of that with your camera, email it to that address. And that way we have a record of everything. If we get a request, we can produce it. We may not get a request, but I think that's the same process you had 10 years ago.
Curious about your example. Would that really fall to a public record?
Technically, yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I think same way with emails, you can forward that email on. I think that's just to help and protect you all, because you may get approached by constituents. If you're having technical problems and you need help, we have staff here to help you, so we can meet with you to do that. Don't worry about that. But the idea is to have that address so you can be one repository for your public records.
And I would, if you even want to forward it to me, if you forget the email address, I'll make sure it gets into the historical archive.
You don't have to work if somebody comes to you.
That's not a
It
public
wouldn't
record.
be a
We're talking
public
about
record. It's a conversation. It wouldn't be be a record.
One email.
Yes, sir.
That's I think we have to direct communication to you instead of between ourselves.
Yeah.
That was my point. If it's all this emphasizes documents, so a communication in a textual form is a document, whether it's electronic or not. So, but a conversation is not. So that's the distinction.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The first part was the sunshine, talking about the conversation, so you don't violate that. And then the second part's public records, create the record you're talking about.
Can't believe that Mark got elected in a conversation.
Ask the commission to come up with a different new example.
public record. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
If you create some form of writing. And in abundance of caution, we would encourage you to
Basically,
send that text.
basically
Okay.
any charter review business.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's interesting.
Okay.
And moving on, ethics. Keep it quick and easy. You can see the ethics in Florida Chapter 112, and then you got the state constitution. Basically, you can't have a conflict. You can't do anything in the interest of furthering your own self-interest when you take a vote, right? Typically, it's money or somebody in your family benefits. Those are generally the conflicts from an ethical perspective. If you have those issues, I don't envision that's necessarily going to come up at all, but if you have those issues, please approach us beforehand if you think something's coming up that could impact your vote because you or a family member has some type of interest that you think traditionally is pecuniary, would apply to them. Please come to us and we can help you navigate that. If you are, quote, recused or conflicted out, we have you basically you're required you sign this form, and then before the vote's taken, you're supposed to announce what your conflict is, and we put it on the record, and then you recuse yourself if there is an actual conflict. They're few and far between. You will hear in our county council meetings where council members step out when a vote gets taken, and then you'll hear the chair ask the member, to come back in and put on the record how you voted. So you can't leave a meeting because you don't want to vote. That's not a conflict, or that's not an actual abstaining under the rule of law. That's just rest and comfort breaks. When you come back in, you still have to vote. Unless you're conflicted out, you are required to vote. I just want to be clear about that. No gifts, that's self-explanatory. And that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Brown?
I would just say on this topic, we have to go through training as lawyers to maintain our law license. Mark does the same thing. Judge Clayton did the same thing. This is one of the more commonly discussed topics of local government lawyers. There is a sunshine law seminar every year. It is complicated. So if you feel it's complicated, don't feel bad. It is, and we'll help navigate you through it. So thank you. Yes, sir.
I had to deal with this before. The best advice, if you question whether it's a violation, when in doubt, don't. Just don't. If you think, well, I wonder if this is a violation, don't, whatever it is, don't do it. Just don't do it. That way you don't have to worry about it. And I don't have Facebook. I don't have any of that. In fact, I might go back to a flip phone. But if you text, your question was very good, but if you text about anything that could be remotely to this committee, not, John, are you going fishing this Saturday? That doesn't count. Right. Then you got to save it and figure out a way to, I'm going to have to learn how to email it to y'all because I won't have any idea. But when in doubt, don't. Like I see Ben and Dwight all the time. We didn't even ride together. He's my neighbor. I said, we're not riding together. Somebody will say we talk. Now we're probably going to change that. But I'll need a designated driver later on. But I'm just saying, just because we're together doesn't mean we're violating. Because we've already, before we even got appointed, I said, if we get appointed, we can't even hang out together if it would appear appropriate. When in doubt, don't.
If your wife adhered to that philosophy, you'd be single.
But I think Judge Clayton raises a good point, though, the perception. Just be aware of the perception. And be careful of that. There are ways to cure a sunshine violation without it rising to a second-degree misdemeanor or civil penalty that you could get for an actual criminal or civil violation. But there are ways to raise it, so just be aware of that. And with that, unless anybody has any questions, Mr. Chair, for your next item, we do have on number 3 of your tab, I believe, is the rules of procedure that we drafted. If you want to adopt those, if you want us to amend them, however you want to proceed, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. Any other questions for Mr. Brown before he sits down? All right. Thank you, Russ. As Russ alluded to under 5E, in tab 3 of the handbooks that were emailed or sent out to us before the meeting, there are draft rules of procedure for the Charter Review Commission. Mike, do you want to provide an overview of those, or did you have anybody that wanted to provide an overview of those?
Yeah, if we could, this was modeled on the rules of procedure that were used 10 years ago.
Correct.
So doesn't mean you have to use them. Just means it's we replicated that for as a starting point of your discussion. First, rule one: all your meetings are public. So all your meetings are going to be noticed. You can have discussions with your colleagues. They have to be during a notice meeting on charter review business. Two, proposals for charter review. It provides a mechanism for members of the public to submit feedback to you on possible proposals for charter review. John, I believe you've set up a website for that, correct? Okay, so that's or a link. A link. That's yes, sir.
I noticed you use in Rule 2 the word should, so that implies to me that it's not required that the public use that.
Yeah, I mean, you may have a constituent that approaches you about a subject. This was just to make it as easy as possible for the public to.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize that they can communicate any way they choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Citizen participation. We just on each agenda before you vote, there would be an opportunity for the public to speak, as there is on item 6 of tonight's agenda. That is a little bit more participation than what is required technically before there's a final vote on something. You're required to have a sunshine vote. But if you go to local government meetings, cities, county, all I've seen, they offer more public input than what is required and have a designated time on their agenda for the public to do that. Rule 4. Yes, sir.
Likewise, they do not have to give written. They do not have to advise in advance in writing.
That's right.
Again, that was another should, but I just don't want anyone to think that anybody has to do that.
Yeah. Frequency meetings. I know the next item, John is going to go over a proposed meeting schedule, and we really replicated what the commission did 10 years ago, but you can change that. That there would be at least one meeting each month. One thing I would say on this is, you're in the same boat that I think every other charter review has been. You have less than a year to deliver your final recommendations to the county council. Really needs to be by end of May. And that time will go quickly. So it really depends on what you want to tackle. If there is a particular issue that deserves more than a monthly meeting, I think we'll need to have that discussion with you and schedule them. But the thought was, if you meet at least once a month, that was a kind of default you had 10 years ago as well.
And Mike, if I can just, just from experience and what we did during at least the last charter review, there were a number of topics that came up that required us to really form some committees. And I found that that was really a useful tool for us at the last commission meeting or commission, review, to set up committees to kind of take some of that work and then report back to that monthly meeting. So, we can talk about it after we go through the overview of the rules if we need to meet more frequently, or if we're comfortable using that kind of type of a committee structure to kind of get into the details on particular topics and then bring them back for those monthly meetings.
Yes, that's a good point. I would anticipate if you are, I would say 20 years ago during that charter review, there were a number of subcommittees, right, I recall, on different issues. Not as many 10 years ago. It really depends on what you tackle as a group. And Rule 5, the next kind of leads into that. The last time you met here in the airport, I think the idea was it was a central location countywide. It's right off interstate system as well for convenience. And then subcommittee meetings were at the Emergency Operations Sheriff Center by the jail in Daytona as well. As long as you're meeting in a public location that the public can access, you can meet there. But yeah.
Ms. Northey. Yeah, there you go.
I saw Mr. Clayton turned it off.
This isn't a nice location, but I also think that in an effort to be countywide, we should consider some meetings on the west side of the county. I don't know if anybody else agrees with that, but I would think that we could set up in the DeLand chambers or county chambers, or set up at Deltona Center. They have a very big venue as well. But I just think in kind of in fairness to the people in this in this county, which has grown significantly, that we need to consider doing meetings.
I think it's up to this commission where you want to meet. We'll make that happen. I would say this is the next item on the meeting.
I was going to say, that's the next item on the agenda, is setting that meeting schedule and locations and the listening sessions as well. So if we can kind of put a pin in that discussion until the next item, and then we can pick that back up and talk about it.
Okay. Rule 6 is just some general verbiage on calling of meetings. They can be called, special meetings can be called by this commission or by the chair if not previously decided by the commission. Maybe an issue has come up and the chair needs to call a meeting before you meet again. That would be an example. We will post on the website for CRC the agenda is 5 to 7 days in advance of each meeting, the agenda also for the public and for you. And we'll prepare the meeting notices for you. Rule 7 is just kind of a general structure on what an agenda would look like for this commission. Really nothing novel in that. It also includes a public participation period for each meeting. Minutes are recorded for the meeting, each meeting. So you basically have, which is required by law. So you have someone on staff actually prepares minutes and will put those on your next meeting agenda for you to approve. There needs to be a physical quorum for you to conduct business and to vote, which means a majority of the council members. I know Mr. Parker and Ms. Bright cannot be here and send their regrets. And I realize you just, things do happen. And maybe you have a trip planned or so on, and you may miss a meeting. That's fine as long as there's a physical majority here, you can meet.
Can I ask a question about that again? I'm sorry. 10 years ago, we didn't have Zoom, and I know a lot of commissions are going to allowing Zoom people to call on Zoom as long as there is a quorum of people physically there. Do we have any thought about Zoom, or is that going to be allowed or not?
We don't have that set up here. If that's something you're interested in, want us to pursue, we
Not
can.
particularly, but I just raise it because it's new technology.
Yeah. As presented, the rule would require physical presence for a vote. So, I mean, we can talk about that. It is something that certainly during COVID, there were a lot of, agencies that made that shift. Most are back to a in-person voting requirement now.
Yeah. That was a popular topic at the beginning of COVID. The governor had issued an executive order that allowed somebody to meet virtually, and that later expired. So it was a short-term experiment, I think, in Florida. No proxy voting, which means if Ms. Wheeler was late for the meeting, she can't have Ms. Quietek vote for her at the meeting. I didn't want to pick on the chair again. That you'll follow Robert's Rules of Order. I would say that Robert's Rules of Order are helpful, but you have an experienced chair, and I don't think getting technical about the Rules of Order are really necessary, but it does provide some structure if there's a dispute. Rule 12, duties of the chairman, presides at your meeting, represent the commission at functions and activities, is an ex officio, basically means a non-voting member on any subcommittees or study committees that you would have, would make committee assignments, an appointment of chairman of committees, call special meetings, which we talked about, and work with county staff on preparing the next agenda. Duties of the vice chair would be basically to assume the functions of the chair if the chair was not present. Vacancies will be filled by the county council, and these are your rules, and you can always vote to amend them.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Any other questions or if not, a motion on the draft rules of procedure? Discussion or
I move that we adopt the draft rules.
Okay, I've got a
Mhm.
motion
Second.
to adopt. Second. All right, Sinofsky. Right? Did I get it close enough?
Nick is great.
Nick. Second by Nick. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the rules stand adopted. Item F, we're going to move on to adoption of the committee meeting schedule and the listening session schedule. I think you've got that on your binder from tonight. Nope. Look under tab. Should be.
It's under the meeting dates tab in the folders.
Okay. So meeting dates, times, you've got the proposed monthly meeting schedule. This does propose to have the meetings all scheduled in this location for the actual meetings of the Charter Review Commission, and then listening sessions around the county beginning September 9th in Deltona, September 11th in New Smyrna, September 15th in Ormond Beach, September 17th at the Daytona Beach Library, and then September 22nd at the Historic Courthouse in DeLand. Is there any discussion on the proposed meeting schedule and locations? Mr. Nick?
Yeah. Hey, I have one concern just about the December date. It's 15th. It's sort of moving into the holiday period. I was hoping if maybe that could be moved up a week earlier, or that could be considered. Doesn't have to necessarily be decided now because there's time. And then the other one was September 9th for the listening session in Deltona is less than a week away. It seems to me it could be tacked on and still have plenty of time before our October meeting if we did it maybe the 25th of September or 24th. And just the others is more than a week, but less than a week is not, in my mind, something that may not be on people's radar, especially Ms. Northey was mentioning the west side of the county. So I just recommend moving that Deltona one to a date after this 22nd.
Okay. Any other thoughts or discussions on those options? And Ms. Northey, I know you wanted to talk about potentially scheduling some of the commission meetings in the west side of the county.
I'm open to what the group wants to do, but I think in fairness to the west side of the county where a number of us are from, that we should look at opening opportunities for people not to have to get on Interstate 4, just go at least on that side of the county to come over here. So that's all.
Okay. What are the
Last
Mr. Clayton?
question. To find what happens in a listening meeting, and that for the public to participate more than anybody. Give me an example of what happens in a listening.
So basically, what I think the way we conducted it 10 years ago was essentially it was an opportunity for anybody that had thoughts on what we should be looking at or talking about in the course of the Charter Review Commission's work to come out and provide input to the commission.
Yeah, do we
No votes by the commission at this
do
meeting.
we attend those?
Yeah, you're invited. You do.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're all invited to attend. It's not something where attendance is mandatory, if I recall, kind of how we did it, 10 years ago. In fact, I think we had 4, if I remember correctly, last time. I was unable to make all of them, but I think we tried to have as many people from the commission at those meetings just to hear. Obviously, it's not
Those
something
listening meetings, they will be geographically around.
That's correct.
County.
Yeah.
Give the citizens an opportunity to address.
That's correct. We've got right now in this schedule, there would be in Deltona, New Smyrna, Ormond, Daytona, and in DeLand.
And that was intended to reflect each of the 5 county council member districts.
Yeah, I share her concern about that, but on the other hand, I'm from West Volusia. But this is a pretty convenient place to meet. And I don't think it's difficult. Deltona is difficult, I guess, to get here in the long.
We're difficult.
Yeah, but that's-
Generally.
It's difficult to get to Deltona. I'm not going to tell you this. I would, I really respect what you said, Pat, but I just said meet here. And I have to drive through the land.
Yeah.
Now, but as long as the listening meetings are out and about the community.
The listening meetings are out and about as currently listed. And
I have a
see
question
it
on
both
listening
ways.
meetings.
Mr.
Does somebody from staff come back and make a presentation to the full committee at the listening sessions, because all of us won't be there? So does somebody from staff?
That's a good question.
That will be, excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I also wanted to know if there's minutes taken at the listening sessions, or because if
Can't see
there are
who's
people
speaking.
or not.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Sorry, Mark. Suzanne.
Yep.
I also wanted to find out if there were minutes taken, because if some people are not going to be there, how do
Sure.
they know what happened?
Right.
So let's, Steph.
Yes, meetings will be taken, and Michael, the intent would be for you to record those meetings as well. So we're recording all the meetings, and they'll be available to everybody about 24 hours after the meetings are held.
Yeah. And keep in mind, as members of the commission, those sessions are for you to get input, because it's not a meeting of the commission. We're not going to be there having discussion with it or get into active conversation with the constituents. But I think it's all intended just to receive that input. And minutes will be taken and published, and we'll have videos of those also available.
That's correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I'd have to agree with Judge Clayton about having one centralized location for our meetings. We are going out into the public and we're having listening opportunities in each one of the individual districts. But I think it's important that we set precedent and mirror council meets in the same location every time. So the citizens of the county know exactly where we are on our published dates, and we're not moving around. They're not having to change their routines. And Ms. Pat, I have a tremendous amount of respect for you on this. I can't believe I'm disagreeing with you on something, but I really think that we need to be consistent and meet in the same location. We also have to think about staff. Staff has a tremendous responsibility to us to be able to prepare the room. They're familiar with the location, that they can bring all the equipment in. And so I'd have to agree with the judge, and, you know, we'll stay here. It's not really a motion or anything. We're just talking. I feel it's more appropriate to meet here. All roads lead to Daytona.
Sure.
I'll make a motion.
If I can go back to Ms. Northey, and then
I just want to ask a question, because that is a good point. Does all the stuff stay here? Or do you pack that up and leave and go away? Not go away, but it does stay here? Okay, well then I would withdraw my discussion on doing them around the county.
Okay, I'll recognize Ben.
Do you need a motion?
I do.
I'll make a motion that we have our meetings here absent exigent circumstances.
And
Second that.
just for clarification, does the motion include the dates that are included in here, or are there any revisions to the dates?
And the listening sessions remain where we have them. All the meetings, all the listening sessions remain where they were scheduled, and we have our normal meetings at this location.
Okay, is the second in agreement with that?
Second, yes.
Okay, so the motion is for the proposed schedule as published in the handbook, with the listening sessions as published. Discussion.
Yeah, so I would offer an amendment, but again, regarding the Deltona in particular, because if you read the background that they did send earlier, the two words that stood out to me about the listening sessions from the last round were sparsely attended. And if you want to guarantee sparsely attended, don't give the public much time to know about it. So less than 7 days is not, in my mind, reasonable. So if to me, it's a small change to move the earliest date to make it a later date.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I will say is these have been published as part of the materials for the commission. So even though the date is only, a few days away, or is 6 days away, this material has been out and published with those meeting dates.
If I could offer the solution that if that in fact occurs,
to have another one.
The staff could go ahead.
I think we have another one. That sounds, then I'm withdrawing, because
I'll make sure it gets out.
That's a very reasonable solution.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd be much more of a fan of having more meetings than fewer. Than, if we need to have another one because we don't get the attendance, we can.
Exactly.
I
So-
would
So I
relay, in
would-
case it's helpful
So-
to the commission, Mr. Ryan relayed to me that these have been noticed contingent on you approving it.
Right.
So in that vein, we have a motion and a second to approve the slate of meetings and locations that are in our materials. Any further discussion?
Yeah,
I have a
Mr. Chair, is
Yes,
there anything that prevents us from adding to the listening dates at a later point in time?
No, we can update that as long as they're properly noticed.
So we could go ahead and move forward with the motion, approving the dates that are currently listed and published, and then always add to be able to go to Deltona or any other locations.
That's
too.
correct.
It is sparsely attended. We decide, you know what, we want to go back to Deltona. We want to listen again. So we add another date to it.
Correct.
And I think that would resolve
Yeah.
the current quandary.
And you might find, based on the subjects that you get talking about,
Right.
might require more listening. These are general, and then you're going to get into possibly later on. Interest
Exactly.
that's generated from what you're talking about may require more listening sessions at that time.
Agreed. I think that's a key point.
Yep.
This is the start.
That was exactly, I like that idea actually, because once we get like midway through or towards the end of our job, that we then go back out. I think that would be a good way to do it. Go back out and say, okay, here's what we're presenting, or here's what we're thinking of. Tell us what you think. So I like that idea. Maybe adding a second set of listening sessions to the agenda.
Yeah.
We don't need to do
I think
that
we
tonight.
certainly have the discretion to do that as we see how it evolves. So, any further discussion?
Well, then the other would be to change the December 15th to December 8th, just because it gets rid of the holiday.
So I've got a motion for the slate of meetings right now in second. Are you offering an amendment to the motion?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, to change it would be with a total agreement except to change the 15th of December till the 8th, because we resolved
Maker
the
of the motion.
That's my motion. That's what I meant to say.
Okay. All right. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Got that done. Okay, moving on to our general business, public participation. I assume we have cards. If anybody has filled out a card that wants to speak to the commission.
No public participation has been carded, but you might have one standing up.
Okay. Sir, come on forward. And if you would make sure to state your name and address for the record and fill out one of the forms that staff has as you're getting ready to leave.
Yeah, Joe Dluback, Venetian Bay in New Smyrna Beach. As you may or may not know, the city of New Smyrna Beach is, at the same time as you are meeting, convening an update to its city charter. My question is what you're doing orchestrated with any of the charters within the community? Secondly, I don't know about schedule when you are due to finish, but there's a question within New Smyrna Beach about putting it on the agenda for either a special election or a general election, and there will be 8 individual comments from just New Smyrna Beach. If you add 15 on top of that, you're going to make it unwieldy for people who are voting. Thirdly, I think I know the answer, but public review of what you're doing, are you making these proceedings available for them to look at separately as they do in New Smyrna Beach?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess I had a fourth. Oh, make sure that you do publish, since it's a requirement for your meetings, what the specific agendas are going to be for the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just to address your points, I think that, as we've kind of gone through, we do have a specific schedule that's set forth with our meetings, with the final report coming from the commission due by May of next year. And then it goes to the county council for the county council to review and ultimately have hearings on any proposed amendments. So, and as we've gone through, kind of in the beginning of this meeting, all of these proceedings are noticed and open to the public, and we invite you back, anybody that wants to come and provide, input and participation. So, okay, any other members of the public that would like to speak? Come on forward. Name and address for the record, please.
Thank you very much. And I think that you've assembled, as a resident, a great body here to.
If I can just get you to state your name and address.
Oh, sorry, Dana McCool, Deltona, Florida. So thank you all very much. And I would like to encourage you as we move through this as a community together. One of the greatest presumed public threats right now in our community is an assault on home rule. And as we move through this, please keep that in mind, because we have a very vulnerable population right now that's angry. There are members of our cities and our county that are angry because they feel like they've been assaulted with state law coming down with state legislation. We have a very jaded community at this time that's politically divided, and we need to keep in mind being soft to that community, because the community is kind of shut down right now because of all the public and all of the political agendas that go on within our community. There are distinctive fractures in our community right now, and this will be something, what you're doing now is important to the people, for the people, of the people, by the people. So I would encourage you to really remember that as you move forth. I know that we have people that have served our community graciously, distinctively, and with honor. And I would just ask to remember, you're going to have nasty public comment, I'm pretty sure. But in remembering that we do have a very hurt community right now, we have a very sarcastic and critical community. But I really do think that keeping that in mind, moving through this process, that the community, when you bring them along, they will soften. You're some smart people up here. I know most of you, and I know how you have served honorably and kind of sidestepped some of that stuff. So please just remember that moving through this process, who we are serving, who you are serving here. And keep in mind that they are just very vulnerable right now. So thank you.
Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Dyer, Mike, can you elaborate on the Senate Bill 180, which I believe Ms. McCool is referring to, and if there's any other preemptions that would preempt this committee, because we really didn't discuss that tonight?
So you probably, if you haven't heard county council meetings, you probably have read in the paper, there's been quite a bit of discussions on the Senate Bill 180, and that was passed by the Florida legislature on the last day of this regular session this year. There's been, it was, most of the bill was dealing with emergency management related issues. It provides some rather strong preemption, meaning state control, taking away some local government land use authority for a period of time. And it, in effect, prohibits cities and counties in Florida till fall of 27 from enacting any more burdensome or restrictive land development regulations, comp plan amendments, site plans, and the like related to development. It also provides that local governments would be preempted again if, after that period of time, for another 1 year increment, if a hurricane were to come within 100 miles and make landfall within 100 miles of your jurisdiction. So the county council has directed that, and a number of other counties, I understand, are doing the same thing. They would like to see some legislative changes to that. I think some of the discussion has been that maybe the intent of 180 was to prevent local governments from changing those land development rules for a property damaged by a storm, but not every property. Now, there may be some legislators who disagree with that, but that's kind of some of the discussion. Some other local governments have talked about or voted to sue the state to challenge the statute. That's not the direction that our county council has gone. But one of the important things of Senate Bill 180 that makes it so impactful, it prohibits a local government from proposing or adopting. So not just adopt, but propose these more restrictive or burdensome rules. So it really does have a strong impact on land development regulations in Florida. On tab 4 of your orientation notebook, there is, if you haven't had a chance, I would encourage you just to skim it. It's one page. And there's a scope of review of the Charter Review Commission. And one of the things that's changed from 10 years ago, there's been a state law that, and this is in addition to Senate Bill 180, basically proposed charter amendments that preempt land use related matters like development orders, land development regulations, comp plans, or voluntary annexation cannot be placed directly on the ballot by this commission, but can by the governing body. Those are during normal times. Now with Senate Bill 180, we know we have additional restrictions beyond that. So that does narrow the scope. However, whether Senate Bill 180 exists or not, of what can be put on the ballot by this commission, that's different than 10 years ago.
So did that answer your question? Okay. All right. Are there any other members of the public that want to speak?
Sure, I'll fill out a form.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, Mike Poniatowski, Tomoka Farms Village, Tomoka Farms Road. So, Mr. Dyer can probably comment on this, but SB 180 does take away a lot of home rule. But tomorrow, the county council members that elected you or appointed you to this commission will vote on amending Chapter 72 of the Code of Ordinances of Volusia County. They will mark 51 items which now have to be approved by special exception in land development, meaning you've got to go before the county council or the PLDRC to have something constructed on your property. Tomorrow, with the third reading of that, they're going to eliminate 51 of those special exceptions. That means if I own property and I want to put a rock crusher, a cement plant, a school, a church, or a convenience store on my property, I can do it by right. They're going to vote on that tomorrow. 51 special exceptions will go away. So that's even usurping more home rule, and the county council are the ones doing it. So homeowners are going to lose their rights to protect their communities. There are 13 overlay zones under the code, the comprehensive plan of Volusia County. Those in essence will go away tomorrow at the third reading. In the Tomoka Farms Village, we've had our overlay zone since 2009. We worked very hard for that to protect our rural character. And tomorrow that goes away. And that means a lot. And I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people to speak in front of the county council tomorrow about this. So that's even more things that you need to consider before you proceed with your work, because we looked at the list earlier tonight of the things that you guys, or the code or the charter protects. A lot of those were environmental, and a lot of those are directly affected by SB 180 and by what the county council will do tomorrow on the third reading of Chapter 72 of the Code of Ordinances. 51 special exceptions go away. So I would encourage you to read that, read those items, and just be aware of the things that are changing tomorrow. It's very important to us. It's important to Osteen, Enterprise, Seville, Samsula, and a lot of the other special overlay zones that have worked hard to protect their communities. And I think that when this happens tomorrow, you'll see a lot of development, a lot of changes, and a lot of our rural character, even more so that is going away today, will be gone soon. So I encourage you to review that. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Anyone else? Nick?
It is a point well taken, because it is actually in our charge that we can review ordinances as well. So,
Okay, well, that's going to lead us in. If there's no more public participation, that actually is going to lead us into our next topic, which is what should we talk about next time? So under 7A, an agreement on the agenda items for the next meeting, and just to kind of maybe offer a thought to start the discussion on this. Our next meeting will immediately follow all of the listening sessions with the constituents of the county. And so my thought, just as an initial item, is we probably ought to focus some of or majority of the time at the next meeting on reviewing what's said at the listening sessions and coming up with agendas and potentially, committee structure to work on some of the topics that are raised during that. So I'd entertain any thoughts about that, and then any other topics. Ms. Northey, you recognize?
Would this be the time if we, as a member of this commission, have thoughts on a particular item to bring it up at that meeting? What you would like to see or discuss?
Yeah,
or
George, I'd turn to you to see if you guys had any other kind of proposed structure for the next meeting, or if this is really just kind of open for discussion.
Well, it's open for discussion. Okay. I mean, you could use the next meeting to combine whatever comes from the listening sessions with your own interests. I would encourage everyone, I'm sure you already have, started looking at the charter. Previous charters of committees have also gone line by line or area by area. I don't know if that's what you at this point want to do, or do you want to just, review it and say most of these are fine. And if the public doesn't have an interest, then maybe you don't worry about that section and concentrate on the sections where there will be.
That would
public interest. So I think, Ms. Northey, to your point, perhaps the way that we structure the meeting agenda for the next time would be to review and go through kind of the key points from the listening sessions, and then have as the follow-on item any other areas of the charter that the members of the commission feel need to be addressed, so that that way, I don't know how much time all of you individually have spent looking through the charter leading into the meeting today. I've probably read it more than a lot of people just because of what I do, but I still need to go back through it and look at, things that may need to be updated, things of that nature. So if that kind of works as a rough structure, then I'd suggest we, kind of set the next agenda up as review of those listening sessions and the topics that come out of that, and then discussion of topics that in areas of review from commission members, and keep it
Mr.
kind of
Chair.
very simple. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have to put out front right away that I will not be at the next meeting. So I want to make sure I get all this information. I happen to have a granddaughter getting married that day, so that I will not be in town.
I will
So
just be returning from my daughter's wedding. So yeah,
Yeah, so I want to make sure I get all the information.
absolutely. Mr. Lewis.
I think it's very important that we have these listening sessions before we start setting up any committees or anything else, because we don't know what's on the minds of the public right now. We need to hear that before we move forward. And then, like Northey said, we can bring other items that we may need to have concern at that point in time.
So I
Mr.
think,
Chair.
Yes.
I think Ms. Pat is 100% correct that we need to listen to the voters of Volusia County and the concerned citizens first and foremost. And so I would say that our next agenda needs to focus on that initially. Try and compile as much as we can out of the listening sessions, because that's who we represent. And then perhaps in the latter third or latter half, depending on what we come up with, we can then start introducing some of our ideas into the proposal as well. And I think that's kind of the general consensus of what I'm hearing around the room, at least from this side of the table, and I'm half deaf, so. But,
no, I agree. I think it lets us make the next meeting really be the one where we're setting the agendas for the following meetings
Right.
and the work. Is there any other topics that anybody on the commission would like to see, or are we good with kind of those two key areas? Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need a
And-
formal motion on that, or is that enough direction for staff?
I think it's enough direction. And I realize that there may be a number of ideas that are presented to you. Ultimately, you'll decide what to get more information on.
Sure.
And many topics may require us to go back and get that information for you to prepare.
Is there a way to kind of weed out the public comments, and because some of it may be not within the scope of the Charter Review Commission?
We'll work with John on that. It presented in a way that we want to convey the information that's been given, but maybe can help organize it in that way. So, there really is a number. Land use, I would say that's the biggest, topic where I've seen the state preempt local government power over the last 25 years, for example. But that doesn't mean it's preempted everything either.
And I think that would be key. I mean, I think as we've talked about, we will have all kind of the raw data. We'll have the minutes of those listening sessions as well, the videos to review. But I think a summary that kind of focuses it in on and asking staff to prepare that to present, so that we can kind of see the areas that relate to different sections of the charter, that would be helpful. So if I'm getting a lot of head nods in agreement on that. So I think that's the direction for our next meeting. So
Sure.
And just to make sure. So the only change we really did today was just change the 15th to the 8th in December.
No.
Yes.
That did not make that into that motion.
Okay, that was where it's confusing me. So
Yeah, I think Mr. Johnson's statement was that his motion was his motion, which was to move the meeting.
he just said that. See,
It
that's
was
what
amended.
he said. He said it was amended to suit me. That's what I'm trying to
I think
clarify here.
I was on the same page as you, Mark. So.
That
Yeah.
he
All right.
did though.
Yeah, I took it as you were sticking with your original motion, not an amendment to the motion.
I did. I would let you know that it was reasonable to make his amendment.
I think the proper way to do this would be a motion for reconsideration
Yeah, I
of our
think
meeting schedule.
because I really would like to be able to plan.
Is
So-
there a motion to reconsider the approval of the meeting schedule?
So moved.
Got a motion and second. All in favor of reconsidering, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
So
All right. Is there a motion to adopt an amended?
Okay.
Is there a motion to adopt an amended meeting schedule that includes the change of the meeting to December 8th?
Yeah.
So moved?
Second.
Okay.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
What did we say, December 8th?
8th.
December
Yes,
8th.
ma'am.
Any
Instead of
discussion on
15th.
that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you very much.
All right, we got that. Sorry for the miscommunication on that. Sure, it won't be the last. We'll get through it. All right, we are on other business. Is there any other business we need to discuss this evening?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to make sure everybody saw the validations for your cars to make sure that you've got them before you leave.
Okay, and we thank you for those.
One question I wanted to ask. I noticed in the past they had a secretary. I'm assuming we don't have a secretary because we have county staff recording things. And okay, the listening sessions, will that be on YouTube, or we'll be able to go back and watch that, or do you know yet?
It'll be recorded. Well,
Would they be
portions of it
recorded?
will
Don't have
be
the minutes.
recorded.
The audio, I'll work with John. The audio of those meetings we'll make sure are on your CRC website.
Okay.
Okay,
All right,
yeah, if you
thank
could just make sure that we all know where to go look at those in
Yeah.
case anybody misses those meetings.
Thank you.
All right. There being no other business, in a parting word, again, thank you for putting me in this seat. I may curse some of you at the end of it, but in all seriousness, I've been around charter governments and home rule my entire life. My dad always said that, home rule governments were the laboratories of democracy. And so I believe that. I think this is a great opportunity for us to serve the county. I appreciate you all for being here and your willingness to serve, and thank all the staff members here and members of the public that are here to provide support and input. So with that, we'll be adjourned.